Los Angeles, California, also referred to as the City of Angels, but maybe it should be called the City of Devils. Many artists and actors have said that Hollywood is run by the most evil people, pedophiles. Pedophilia, child pornography, and the sexual exploitation of children in the media are very huge topics to tackle. So huge that I don't even know where to start. But what I do know is that these stories and these subjects are very disturbing, and they make me sick to my stomach just thinking about them. So if you are triggered by the sexualization of children and pedophilia, then I would advise you to click off of this video. I know this subject is very dark and disturbing, which is why I wanted to take the time to talk about it. And I think that it's very important for people to be aware of these things. So maybe just take a seat and listen. The first thing I want to talk about today is the sexualization of child star Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple was by far the most iconic child actress to this day. She started appearing in movies at the age of 3 and quickly rose to fame. She was known for her super tight curls and her iconic scene in the 1935 film Curly Top, where she sang the catchy song Animal Crackers in My Soup.
Animal crackers in my soup, monkeys and rabbits loop the loop. Gosh, oh gee, but I have fun swallowing animals one by one.
Cute, right? But what if I told you that Shirley took on some very mature roles around this same age? Around the 1930s, Shirley acted in a series called Baby Burlesques. Yeah, you heard that right. Burlesque, as in a theatrical performer who strip teases on stage. This was a collective series of 8 short films directed by Jack Hayes and Charles Lamont. But it gets even creepier. The entire cast of these short films were all played by children. Now that's not that crazy, but these kids were acting out adult situations, which you can only imagine can get very weird very fast. Shirley was the lead actress in all of these short films, and in each of them she played a prostitute. A prostitute. A baby. A toddler. A 3-year-old. However old she was. She was playing a prostitute. Keep that in mind. I'm not going to talk about each individual film because that would take too long to show you every sexual innuendo made, and sadly there was a lot. For example, in one of the films titled War Babies, a toddler is seen on all fours trying to drink some milk from a baby bottle that has spilled over. As weird as this already makes you feel, watch what happens next. Shirley's character rushes over to help the baby by pulling out a rubber glove from her purse and attaching it to a keg of sweet milk. The baby then crawls over to the keg and starts sucking on the glove. It's a weird situation to begin with. In another short film titled Politics in Washington, Shirley ultimately confirms that she is in fact playing a prostitute when one of the characters is seen kissing her face and her neck. Just watch the clip.
I think you're the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. You're gorgeous. You're ravishing. I'm nuts about you. Ah, but I'm expensive.
But I'm expensive. Now, if you are young and watching this, you may not get that reference, but obviously when it comes to prostitutes, you pay them for interacting in sexual activity and stuff. I assume that some are cheaper, some are more expensive, and Shirley is saying that she is an expensive prostitute. It's very sexually suggestive. It's very wrong to put a child in that much of an adult situation. I could see, like, okay, I could see if they were putting a child in an adult situation where they had to go to work, or in an adult situation where they had to run errands, pay bills, things like that. But the way that these directors ran these short films is that it's all revolved around sex and sexual activities. It's very clear and prevalent what they were trying to do and in what audience they were trying to please. So later on in Shirley's acting career, when she probably was a couple years older, she stepped away from those weird prostitute roles and she played more of the daughter type role. And in a lot of these films that she was in, she is seen with an older male co-star, and in a lot of them she is either comforting them, singing to them, stroking them, dancing with them. It gives off another weird vibe as well. There's even signs of incest in one of her movies where she is seen stroking her father's face and singing a love song to him.
I long to hug and kiss you. Marry me and let me be your wife.
I don't know if any of you are familiar with this, but this is also known as the Oedipus Complex, which is when the child has a desire to basically just like be in love with or has deep admiration for the opposite sex parent, and they want to marry them. In some cases, I've heard that they, want to do other things, but I'm not going to touch on that. Apparently, this is very normalized in our society. It is seen as a necessary stage for psychosexual development in an early child's life. Personally, I can't relate because I didn't grow up with a father, so I was never like, I want to marry a guy like my dad. My dad treats my mom so good, which he didn't, but I'm just saying, like, in another universe. My dad treats my mom so good. I want to find a man like my dad. I want to marry a man like my dad. That is normal to me, I believe. And in a way, I get it, I guess. Like, if you're a child and you're like, oh, like, I want to marry my dad. I get it. Like, children are weird. They go through weird stages. But I feel like this was purposely placed into that film in order to fulfill some of the viewers' sick fantasies, maybe even the directors and producers' sick fantasies. I don't think that it was put in there because, oh, the Oedipus Complex is a very necessary stage for early child development. No, I don't think they did that. I think that it was, placed in there for other reasons. I mean, I never had feelings for my dad. I never wanted to marry my dad, but then again, my dad wasn't even a good husband to my mom, so maybe I just saw right through the bullshit. I don't know. Another thing that I also really wanted to touch on is Shirley's portraits. Most, if not all, of her portraits portray her in a very inappropriate and adult manner. It's so weird to me that the purpose for these short films that Shirley played in, the 8 short films of the Baby Burlesque series, the director and producer specifically said that the intention for these films was, because a child is acting in adult situations, it was intended for it to be very humorous and very entertaining for the viewer. But I don't find any of this funny. I mean, am I the only person? I just think it's so wrong for them to portray a 5-year-old little girl as a prostitute. Could you imagine how confused she might have been and the stuff that goes on behind the scenes when they were filming? I watched an interview of Shirley when she was older. She was talking to Larry King, I think, and she was saying that when the kids misbehaved on set, that they would take them to this like dark room and like they would just like lock them in there. I can't tell you the exact thing. I'll leave the video link down below because I can't remember right this second, but like you could only imagine what went on in there. You never know if a castmate snuck in there, if a director snuck in there, and they just if you think about it, Shirley Temple was sexually exploited throughout her entire childhood. In her autobiography, she even described how these films were, quote, a cynical exploitation of childhood innocence. And these are just some of the many facts and videos and clips that I have included in today's video. There are so many more, and the list just goes on, and it is very sad. If you want, go ahead and do your research. It's dark and disturbing, but It is pretty interesting. Okay, so now that we've discussed how pedophilia has been around for a long time in the media and in Hollywood, let's talk about how it's all going down nowadays. We've all heard about the sexual assault and coercion allegations made against hit Hollywood producers such as Harvey Weinstein, Woody Allen, and Kevin Spacey. Just a quick recap in case you didn't know anything about these allegations. 80 people have accused Weinstein for sexual assault. Woody Allen has been accused by his daughter, Dylan Farrow, for sexually abusing her. And 15 people have accused Kevin Spacey. So that's Hollywood for you. We know that this has been going on for a very long time, and sadly it will continue to happen if these victims do not speak up. But you know which victims can't speak up? Children. Which brings me to my second half of this video, which does not focus too much on Hollywood in particular, but rather it focuses on what's happening in the whole world right now, every single day. The other day I was on Twitter and I saw this picture surface. A 28-day-old baby was raped by a 25-year-old man. After seeing this photo, it angered me so much that I became invested in it. And I looked it up, and apparently this happened on December 7th, 2015. Although this happened 2 years ago, child abuse and rape is something that still happens every day, not rarely, but every single day somewhere around the world. This is happening, and it is very scary. As some of you may know, pedophilia is a psychiatric disorder in which an adult is sexually attracted to a prepubescent child. A lot of the times, child pornography is exchanged or traded online, and this is something that is very prevalent today. Earlier this year, Blake Lively gave a speech on the sexual exploitation of children, and it got very emotional.
I believe if we all knew this, we would dedicate much more of ourselves to stopping it. So when I asked what child pornography entailed, yes, it's nude images of boys and girls under the age of 18. But now, because of high-speed internet, it's also videos very prominently. And videos of kids, and by kids I mean prepubescent, visibly prepubescent. And they make the distinction because of the internet and there's so much content, these pedophiles are desensitized. Because of that, the kids are getting younger and the content is getting that much more devastating.
As disturbing and painful as it is to hear all of that, it is even more heartbreaking to come to know the ages of these children on the files that are being traded online.
So when this law enforcement officer told me this, I asked him how young are the young kids he's seeing, and he told me infants. So I said, what does that mean? You know, like what does an infant mean? And he said, with the umbilical cord still attached.
She later explains what happens to these children in the videos and in the photos. And it is very explicit and dark. But she is very right when she says that this is something that we need to talk about. This is something that we can't just push aside and have all these children be hurt and molested and raped and abused, not only physically but mentally. Can you imagine? Oh my god. So I'm going to tell you what happens in these videos, and just prepare yourself. Not only is there just touching in these videos, but there's penetration, there is bondage, there is incest, there's bestiality. To just think that a child has to go through that and endure that torture, literally torture, because in what world do kids know what sex is at a fucking infant, straight out of the womb? What does a baby know about sex? And it angers me, and it makes me so, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go on a fucking rant right now. It makes me so fucking sick. Because I don't know how you could get off of hurting a child and ruining their childhood, taking away their innocence, their purity. That is what they are known for. They have the rest of their life to experience sex, and if they wanted bondage, if you haven't realized yet, the world is very messed up. Personally, when I was a child, I saw the world through a glass window. I thought everything was perfect and people were kind to each other. There was no bigotry, there was no racism, there was no sexism, there was nothing of that sort. Everyone just got along, and things were the way it should be. There was equality, and then you grow up and then you realize that the world is shit, that people can be shitty. But you realize that when you're an adult. I don't know why, it's just very emotional. You realize that when you're an adult. But when you're a kid is the time when you get that freedom to see with blinds on, basically. You get that freedom, and I truly believe it's freedom. Because when you come to realize the world that we live in, it's not fun. And it's just so sad to think that some kids don't get that blindfold. Some kids just get shoved into it at birth. I wasn't expecting to cry in this video. I really wasn't. So like I was saying before I started crying, this speech goes on for about 8 more minutes, and it is very powerful. As you can tell, it's very powerful. So I will leave that in the description box down below so you guys can go watch that and go check it out and go hear everything that she has to say. But basically, to sum it up, Blake Lively was basically spreading awareness to an organization that she is working for, which is called the Child Rescue Coalition. In just the 3 years that they've been around and their website has been up and running, they have caught 9,000 predators and saved 2,000 children, and that is absolutely amazing. So I will leave their website in the description box down below, and you can go ahead and donate if you can. That's awesome. Donations always help with every website. But they also need people to spark up a conversation about them so that bigger companies and organizations can know about them, and they can donate, and they can, you know, spread awareness, and it'll all just go up together. I don't know, guys. I don't know, but just share that website with your family. Share these stories with your loved ones. Just let them know. Let them know what you have learned today. And I hope that although it was, you know, heartbreaking, that it shows you what's going on, and it shows you that it's time to make a change. It's time to make a stand, and that you can help too. I know that I'm not a huge YouTuber. I know that I don't have a big platform. I don't really. I wanted to talk about this because it's obviously very important to me. So yeah, I feel like I haven't even touched a lot of this subject. I feel like I dipped my toes into it, but there's so much more that I can talk about if you guys want me to. There's a lot of pedophilic videos here on YouTube even, where parents sexually exploit their children with sexually suggestive videos that aren't necessarily considered child pornography, but it's sexually suggestive enough for a pedophile to, you know, get off of it and whatever. So there's that. So yeah, if you guys want me to talk about that, then I will. Let me know what else you guys want me to talk to you guys about. As always, I love you guys very much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world